Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Pastor Maxwell for another episode of Bring the Smoke. We over here with the one and only Bishop Randolph McKissick, man. My goodness, man, it's such an honor for you to be here. He here for our March Gospel Madness. I know it's probably April when you seeing this, but I had to let you know he came to our church. He ain't been to all the any church, but he here in Newport News because we got him here, man. So how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm honored to be here, first of all. Thank you for inviting me, man. This is, home territory for me. My mother's a Hampton graduate. 2 of my children are Hampton graduates, so I'm good, other than the fact that y'all forgot it's springtime.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I got off the plane, it's cold here.
Oh, yeah?
Somebody forgot to tell y'all it's springtime, man. It's 88 in Florida.
88?
And 58 here.
Wow.
Y'all know God's not pleased.
God ain't pleased, man. Sound like one of my students who be doing the IG posts, man. Look, first of all, man, I'm a fan. Always been a fan of your preaching, man. And since this Bring the Smoke, I'm gonna go right on in it, man. I became a bigger fan because, we are part of the Southern Baptist for the certain resources we get.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember this white lady, she cussed me out because I was in Southern Baptist. Because she said, why you in Southern Baptist? They supported slavery. And I said, well, it sounds like you would have supported slavery too. You trying to tell me what I need to do. I go here for the resources.
That's a good
I don't
point.
care what they did in the past.
That's a good point.
Because at the end of the day, I can take the guilt money all they want to give it to
all day long.
But man, you wrote an open letter to them because of the founding fathers, the memorials, the statues or whatnot. And man, I read that letter a million times. I said, because you reminded me of Pastor McKissick, man. Pastor McKissick was my pastor at Green Forest Baptist Church, and he would always make sure he spoke truth to power. And I would always ask him, man, why you in the Southern Baptist since you always combative with them all the time? He said, man, I'm there to make sure they know the truth, and I'm there because they give us a lot of resources. So man, what made you write that letter?
There were a couple of reasons I wrote it. One was because too often the Southern Baptists like to highlight what they feel are the good of who they are, but not the totality of who they are. And they hide behind a form of godliness to me, and a righteousness that is not really righteous. I heard Charlie Dates say the other day, any righteousness that does not have justice is not righteousness at all. And any justice that does not have righteousness is not justice at all. And to me, they hide behind a righteousness that is judgmental, which makes them very hypocritical.
Wow.
And they want us in their churches, but they want us to assimilate to their culture. And they don't want to face the reality of history. And so I wanted to put it on Front Street. That, listen, y'all are hypocrites. You're supporting something. It's really the whole Christian nationalist movement, that is predominantly Southern Baptist. The whole Christian nationalist movement where everything they do, they feel they do in the name of Jesus Christ. And it's a Jesus I don't know.
Reverend.
The Jesus they worship is a Jesus I don't know. And so I wanted to challenge them, on the statues, and challenge them on some of their theology. What really led to that letter was John MacArthur. Who is, I'm a free talk.
Yeah, man, it's bring that's why we call it Bring the Smoke. It ain't just cigars, baby. We bringing the smoke. Let's go, baby.
He is a racist. He's been a racist. And they worship him more than they worship Jesus Christ. And he's a fundamentalist and a racist. And he came out against the social justice movement and tried to call it demonic, is what really got me going. And I'm trying to figure out how you call something demonic when the Christ you preach was a social justice leader.
Yes.
You know, And you talking about the smoke? I caught so much smoke from Southern Baptists. I got death threats.
I'm sure you did.
From Southern Baptists. I got called out my name by Southern Baptists, and all they were doing was proving my point.
Right.
You know, when you are so heretical that you can't be challenged, that's a problem.
Right.
And so I challenged them, and I still to this day. Interesting story. So I pastor, you wouldn't know it by the way we church, but I pastor the oldest Baptist church in the state of Florida. The oldest. Founded in slavery, 1838, right? And in the 1860s, when the war was over, the whites took the freed slaves to court and said to the judge, we don't need them anymore. They're no longer our property, right? And I'm making a point.
Right. I'm about
in
to
the 1860s, this white judge awarded the church to the freed slaves. Thus, we're Bethel. So the white folk decided they were going to go and start First Baptist. So their claim always is, we came out of them, or I had one say to me last week, you know, we're sister churches. And I said, no, I'm your mama. I'm not your sister church.
Reverend.
But that's the kind of oppressive, elitist racism
Right.
that a lot of white Christians live on.
Yeah. But what's so amazing is when you say this story, Green Forest, where Pastor McKissick is,
Yes.
sits on like 100 plus acres.
Right.
And the way they got the church was, it was a predominantly white church.
Mm-hmm.
And then 25 black families began to go to the church. And so one Sunday morning, all of the white people got up and walked out. They walked out the
Wow.
church. And then the pastor said, I'm sorry, and followed
Wow.
them. And so they sold the church to Green Forest for $300,000. Now, of course, that was, even back then, that was cheap for all of that land.
Yeah.
But they felt bad, so
Yeah.
they needed to do something. So all them pulled their credit together, ended up buying the church because
Wow.
the white people had white flight because they felt like it was too many black. It was only 25 families. I mean, it was more than 25 black people, but it was only 25 families there, and they just felt like it was too many black people there, so they left. And so when you look at the history of it, a lot of times they don't want to tell the truth. So I know we're going to get some stickers on this one. We got some stickers. They gave us the explicit violence stickers when we was talking to Dr. Annabeth Harris about critical race theory. And so when we talk about the critical race theory, that's not black history. And what I done talked to educated white people.
Right.
First of all, just on my head, I was a former special education teacher, former administrator, former principal.
I know.
I worked with SACS, the Southern for accreditation of schools and colleges. I've helped accreditate schools, school systems, and colleges.
Right.
So I'm educated. Right.
Right.
Yet they'll tell me, no, critical race theory is black history. It's not.
It's not black
history. It is
history.
not black history. It's a theory of why were you redlining us.
Yes.
It's trying to figure out what makes you so prideful. That's why I like the spirit that's over this, is always a reading. The spirit here is the spirit of pride. It's nothing but a spirit of pride that can make you think you can own another human being.
Yeah.
This is the first place where all slaves. In fact, we had so many slaves here, we had 200 and something thousand more slaves than the second place state, which is Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't won by a long way with slavery. And so, dealing with things here with the critical race theory, now they're reviewing Governor Young, and now they're reviewing black history. They don't review the Holocaust.
Right.
They don't review Hiroshima.
Right.
They don't review Vietnam.
Right.
They don't review any of that. But when it comes to our history, they want to weaponize it when it comes to politics. Dr. Algernon Tart, he was talking about healthy marriages. They put the explicit sticker on him.
Yeah.
He didn't even say nothing about white people. He just talking about healthy black marriages. And what we have to understand is that's why you got to have your website. You got to have certain things, because Facebook, Twitter, IG will begin to block certain things they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Yet, your governor, I'm just going to get him started. I talked to him. Your governor, first of all, you wrote an open letter letting them know.
Let's go.
Now, first of all, let me tell y'all how bad he is. He done told the Southern Baptist Christian School to not put the founders picture up there, all right? Now, that's gangster. I don't care that they founded it.
Right.
They racist.
Right.
They condone slavery. So
Right.
I don't care if they founded it. Their picture don't need to be nowhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, say they founded it, but they shouldn't be there because you slapping the people in the face who are going here paying you money because you celebrating slavery. Those are the same people that burnt crosses in the yard in the name of Jesus, saying why you here when they brought us over here.
Yeah.
They don't even know how the struggle that the black man, black woman have struggled with. Like, dude, what am I? I'm really not an African American. I'm not from Africa.
Right.
I'm here. I mean, my heritage is there.
Right.
But they're going to put us hyphenated names, African American. Am I, are you black? Are you Hispanic? All these questions when it comes to, your blackness. So you already have to deal with America itself. As far as African American, are you black? Are you Afro American? All these different things. And now he's saying at this seminary, I know they founded it, but at the end of the day, their face don't need to be on the wall.
We really have a biblical precedent for why they do what they do. Mm-hmm. At Pentecost, when they started speaking in the other languages, there was a group there who said, what? These men are drunk with wine. Why did they say that? Because you have to discredit what you don't understand.
Reverend.
You have to discredit what you don't understand. The way they handle critical race theory is they have to discredit it because they don't understand it. They don't even understand what it is. It is not, like you said, it is not historic, it is systemic.
Right.
It is the history of the systemic way in which they have managed race, sexism, ageism, misogyny, all of that. And it's different than our history. And they want to take us back to the future. Is what they really want to do. They're trying to take us back to the future. And as I said, we did a march with Reverend Sharpton about 3 weeks ago in Tallahassee. And as I said in my comments, even on that day, that you don't get the right to tell my history your way. You don't get to whitewash my history, because what our governor tried to do in a very slick way is try to suggest that we're saying they don't want black history. And I came back at him and said, no, nobody said that. You want it, you just want it your way. You don't want, and this is what he has said, so I'm not, you don't want your children to feel uncomfortable. Well, my ancestors felt uncomfortable for years, so your children could be comfortable. So maybe they need to be uncomfortable so they can join the fight. And so it's a fight we're in right now because, they don't want the reality of our history to be told, because they don't, as Maya Angelou said, this is still the yet to be United States. They don't want us on equal footing, which is why our governor is practicing in Florida what he wants to do with the country when he decides to run for president.
Right.
By trying to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you, sir.
Now on this podcast, do we eat while we talk?
You can.
Oh, okay.
It's because, your boy was late to his own podcast, so
you was late
done by now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to call myself out. I'm bringing smoke to myself.
They want to get rid of, he's getting rid of books.
It ain't funny if I get you.
He's listen to some of the books that have been banned in Florida. Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks.
One of the manufacturers of books in Florida edited their book to take out the fact that Rosa Parks was black.
What? So a white person was on the back of the bus. Oh.
It's just, and he's practicing what he's going to do all over the country.
Right.
If he wins, and what I'm trying to tell now, I'm really finna get in trouble now. Let me take a bite because I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I'm trying to tell preachers when they talk about equity and inclusion, and preachers are saying, I don't know how you fighting against him when he's, trying to get this same gender out of our schools and same sex. And what I say to them is this ain't about theology, it's about policy.
That's what I say.
Ain't nobody vote on him to be the pastor.
Right.
He's the governor. And ain't nobody joining his church. They're citizens in his state. So don't try to politicize or theologize policy.
Exactly.
This ain't, this not what that is. This isn't about theology. And you're called to be the governor, not the pastor. But once again, what Christian nationalists do is try to infuse their version of theology into politics, as if America is a Christian country. This ain't a Christian country.
Right. It's not.
Everybody in this country ain't Christian.
It's capitalist country.
Absolutely. And the Christianity this country was founded on is not the version of Christianity that Jesus had.
Come on.
Man.
This country was founded on an oppressive, disenfranchising version of Christianity.
Exactly. And see, a lot of people will see right on my wall, mostly white people say, well, that's a slavery religion. Blah, say blah. What Gandhi would say is this. Gandhi said there would be a whole lot more Christians if it wasn't for the Christians.
Yeah.
And, because we don't really walk in what Jesus was really having us walk in.
No.
See, a lot of people go back to St. Augustine and say, oh, he was a great theologian, but don't understand he was black. They call him a black midget because he was short and disrespected.
All of them were black.
Right, exactly. So it's man, I just don't understand. I don't know. I was going somewhere then. You took me way somewhere else, which was good. But you look at it, how you say they try to whitewash history. That's why I know I got to go ahead and start my own school.
Yes.
Because I have to. Because
Yes, you do.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and start my own school. Because at the end of the day, I need you to know your history.
Yes.
I need you to understand exactly where you came from.
And that's what we're
because
doing.
people try to sit up here and, like you say,
Right.
whitewash the history, so you don't never know who you are.
No.
If you go tell the Jews not to talk about the Holocaust,
Won't happen.
huh? Go
Won't
tell
happen.
them don't talk about Schindler's List,
Won't happen.
huh?
It will not happen.
Go let them. And so at the
It
end
will
of the
not
day,
happen.
whenever we stand up for our blackness or stand up for our people, they act like we hate white people.
Right.
No, for me to love myself, you trying to make that the equivalent of hating you.
Right.
No, I love myself more than for just let you,
Right.
sit up here and demean and beat on me.
Right.
You understand? So anyway, man, I'm just, like I said, I'm just excited to be here. But when I look at DeSantis, I look at Youngkin. But the thing about, oh yeah, this is what it was, the policy. This is my thing. God gave us free will. So I can't make you do nothing.
No.
When they started saying they were gonna do same-sex marriage, you can ask my people over here. Jay, he was at the church. I immediately, before they even did it, once. That's my dude too, McCullough. Thank you. You helped me with the campaign. You my dude. But once he got in office, I knew they was gonna vote and uphold and bring in same-sex marriage. I began to make sure I put in my bylaws that we believe
go.
only in a naturally born woman
There you
and
go.
a naturally born man can be wed.
Right.
So I give it. You have the right to get married. That's on you. I'm just not gonna marry.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
gonna conduct it because I don't believe in that. So at
Correct.
the end of the day, when they give everyone their rights, that's your right. That's your right. If you want to marry a man, you a man, that's your right. You want to marry a woman, you a woman, that's your right. But my right is to go by the Bible, and I respect whatever you do. I'm just not gonna conduct it
But see,
in my house.
But you've just drawn the proper
the
line in
theological
the
and
sand.
political line.
You do that because you are a pastor of a church
Yes.
who governs the culture and the movings of that church by the Bible.
Exactly.
The governor is not a pastor.
Exactly.
I don't care what well, he ain't a Christian as far as I'm concerned, but he's the governor.
Right.
Which means you enact policy, not theology.
Exactly. All day.
You enact policy, not theology. But He's typical of many, not all, but of many of our brothers and sisters whose skin was not fortunate enough to be kissed by nature's son.
Reverend.
And that is, they live with an elitist attitude, as if it's their country, which they stole, as if they are better than us. And it has been perpetuated down through the years. It has been embedded in them down through the years. And to Governor DeSantis, you can't stop what's systemic without breaking the system.
Right.
You don't want your children growing up feeling such a way. Fine. That would be wonderful. But you got to break the system to do that.
Right.
Not disenfranchise and negate the personhood of other people.
Wow.
And that's the part. I think he gets it. I think, he is playing to the red meat
all day
of the Republican movement.
That's it.
Because he wants to be the president. And our desire, and I've made it my life's mission to make sure he doesn't become the president.
I'm with you.
We're doing we say this will air in April, so by the time this airs, they'll hear it. We're doing a big thing in April at my church where we've got several initiatives we're going to do. We're going to ask every organization from D9s and everybody else to not do any business in Florida. I'm going to challenge D1 black athletes to get in the transfer portal and find you a school that respects your heritage. Wow. Oh yeah, I'm going after him.
Reverend.
I'm going after him. It's going to be a major announcement that we make. I'm challenging every pastor to open a school. What we're doing with our library at the school now is finding every book on race he's banned, and I'm putting it in my library and inviting parents to come check the books out.
Wow.
So, we're putting some stuff together to combat what he's doing. Because, let me tell you something. This is why I don't like marching. Because they don't care about us marching. Because by and large, they know after we march, we ain't got nothing else. So we march, we get a little publicity, they wink at it, and that's all. You got to put a strategy together.
Yes.
Of something that's going to hit them where they hurt.
That money.
And that's in their pocket.
Exactly.
So that's what we're trying to do in Florida. And, I'm sure y'all will be hearing about it. It'll make news and all
we
of
be there
that.
helping you. So look here, man. So anybody
I may need a job up here.
Look, anybody need help with whatever school, just let me know, because I definitely help. I'm going to get mine together. We use our building a lot for a lot of different things, but I definitely need to make sure that we get on point and start a school, because I've been talking about it, but then,
we got to do it.
Yeah, but I have no choice.
Yeah, we have to do it. It's now become necessary for the sake of our legacy, our history, and for the sake of the education of our children.
Yeah.
It's become necessary because we are moving towards a time where the educational system is not going to teach them and not going to affirm them.
Right.
So it's up to us as the community and the church as the bulwark of the black community to take the lead and make sure we educate our people.
Definitely.
We got to do that.
Definitely have to do that.
Got to do that.
Because when I look on it and how we get manipulated, like he said, by the politics, as far as those buzzwords, go against gay marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go against the people in the bathroom, which I don't agree with, if you got genitalia that you should go in the women's bathroom.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
You understand? But they use those things in order to get a lot of our black pastors on board.
Yes, they do.
But they don't care.
Yes, they
about
do.
our race.
Yes, they do.
They don't care. I mean, they don't care about helping us. I mean, you look at it. But Biden said, you know what? He gonna forgive everybody student loan. But a lot of people don't hear it. A lot of white people don't hear what happened. And then this time, instead of them going out and voting on it, They just got their Republican lawyers to get on it. So you don't even know who's supporting and who not. But the thing about it is their children, if they senators and representatives, their kids go to school for free. They don't have to do student loans. They get free health care.
Right.
When they shut down the government, they still get a check, even though other people suffering.
Right.
So my thing, if you shut down the government, you shouldn't get paid either. You the government. But everything is set up for them to always be comfortable and other people to be uncomfortable.
Well, you can't understand the journey of the least of these when you sit in the seat of the privileged.
Reverend.
When you sit in the seat of the privileged, you have no way to understand the struggle of everybody else. And they have always sat in the seat of privilege. Always.
Ooh, you got me somewhere. You done put me in an exegetical text right now, because you know what he made me think about? It just jarred me to think about Absalom when it came to David.
Yes.
David was able to protect himself when he was down in the streets.
Yes.
Because he knew what was going on. But when he got to the seat of privilege, he was so far removed, he didn't even know what Absalom was doing.
Right.
They said Absalom stole the heart of the people, right? He was able to see the heart of the people because he was down there with the people.
Right.
You understand? Because he was down there understanding what the people wanted.
Correct.
So a lot of times when you have these white, they don't understand, they don't care. But what they do is they send these buzzwords, and then instead of them being so disremoved from the people that they really can't change them, they still connected to the people because they say these buzzwords for some of our uneducated African American pastors.
Yes.
And they use us to get those individuals in the street on board with certain policies.
Not all of our uneducated, not all of them are uneducated. A lot of our educated
Well, let me
pastors.
say, our black pastors who don't help me.
Some of our black educated pastors are educated but ignorant.
All right, our ignorant pastors.
They are educated but lack wisdom and discernment. So that's how they get caught. You said it. They miss the forest for the trees because all they hear is about homosexuality.
Yeah.
All they hear is about gender and gender identification. And I guess my issue with now, here I go. I guess my issue with that is you gonna jump on that and latch onto that as if they're right, but you ain't dealing with it in your church.
Reverend,
my God.
Praise and worship all day.
You ain't taking that musician down. You ain't taking that musician down.
What?
You're not stop. Oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble
Help me, Reverend. No.
You haven't stopped them from singing songs that were written by folk
That's up.
who switching and twitching.
Right.
So it's a little disingenuous if you haven't cleaned up the house you over, but you want to challenge everybody else on that.
Yeah.
That's a little disingenuous to me. That's very disingenuous to me.
Yep.
When you say nothing about it in your own house,
But you say
because it's there, it's in your choir,
Yeah.
it's in the pew, it's in your leadership. Sure it is.
Wow.
But you say nothing about it there. But then you want to jump on the rest of us who are against governors and leaders who use the buzzwords, the whole piece about Disney with my governor. I have black pastors at DM me all the time. How in the world could you not be supportive of him when he's doing his best to clean up? Because I'm not going to get stuck missing the forest because of the trees. I'm not going to get stuck with that.
See, this is my thing. You look at King, you look at Malcolm X, you look at Medgar Evers, you look at all those preachers, moves or whatever, religious leaders. At the end of the day, they understood that although they were religious leaders, they had an obligation to uplift their people.
Yes.
Moses was a pastor. Moses, even though he could have stayed in the big house in Egypt, when he struggled and saw the Israelite being beaten by the Egyptian, he had to make a decision. And he said, well, I got to go against this to make sure I take care of my people. So at the end of the day, I have white people, black people at the church to mix here and there. You know, not as many. But at the end of the day, I have an obligation. If something happened today, I don't care what series I'm in. If a black person get beat to death for no reason by the police, I'm definitely gonna switch mine because I gotta speak to it. One time I was on a sabbatical and something happened. And I was like, my sermon was America Won't Let Me Rest. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to chill, but I had to come. I had to come. I was on a sabbatical, but the dude, what's his name, got the neck on the head, Floyd got killed, and I had to come and preach. There's no way I could not have come and speak to that moment. Absolutely. Had to get the police and everybody together, had a whole forum because I knew it was gonna be riots here if we didn't handle it. Yeah. They had wanted to be peaceful, wanted to get their energy out because they were upset. You know, so at the end of the day, we got to understand we still have an obligation to our blackness, the same way Moses had an obligation to his blackness. Yeah. I know somebody gonna get upset about that because if you look at it, you know, I don't even want to get into that theology of black and white as far as the Bible, but we have an obligation. So I saw something Tony Evans had tweeted or put on Instagram. And he was saying how the white people, a lot of them be so Republican and bringing that into the church. And I get it. And he said sometimes black pastors be too black and bring the blackness in there. But I don't know. I don't know. Tell me how you feel. I don't know if I'm sure you heard it.
You can never be too black about a Bible that's black.
Yeah.
They hear Jesus in Egypt. Egypt is in Africa. You hide things amongst things that look like it. You can't hide a white boy in Africa.
Reverend, I'm listening. I'm just saying, I know. The Bible says Moses, he said, put his hand in your cloak, and they turned leopards and snow. You put it back, and they turned back to flesh.
Yes.
You understand? So at the end of the day, we miss so many of those nuances because they try to, you know, they always would put the key over the Middle East or whatever to make sure you didn't see that, you know, it's in Africa.
And I love Pastor Evans. I
do too.
I adore him. I respect and revere him. Love his ministry, but I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
The Bible is black. You can't be too black. I know what he meant. He's talking about social justice. Well, that's all the Bible is. God tells Moses, I've heard the cries of my people,
Reverend,
and I've come to liberate them. That's social justice.
Yeah.
Jesus in the temple, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach the gospel, to set at liberty those who are captive and oppressed. That's social justice. Jesus was killed. Now, I know, you know, he died for our sins, but he was killed.
Well, you can't get on. I read the sermon, I closed out like Jesus was assassinated.
Because he dared to go against the authority of the Roman government.
Yes.
That was an elitist government that had established a capitalistic empire. That's social justice.
Reverend.
You can't have the Bible and not have social justice. And for those Southern Baptist pastors say we just need to learn to love. Well, love has an ethic. You know, love is not a catchword. It has an ethic. And if you aren't operating in the ethic of love, it ain't enough just to be talking about come to Jesus. If you don't practice the ethic of love, and you can't practice the ethic of love without standing on the side of the oppressed.
Ooh, let me ask you this, man. I'm going to go on back to this because I know you're fool here. They probably had to heat it back up or whatnot. But look. You Southern Baptist. And I used to always struggle like, man, I'm my pastor, Pastor McKissick, Southern Baptist, as much as he be combative in trying to make sure he speak truth to power. What makes you stay in the Southern Baptist movement, even though you have all those conflicts?
Oh, I'm not in Southern Baptist.
You not?
No,
Get out of here.
Sir.
You left?
Listen.
Reverend! I didn't know that. I thought you were still in there.
I'm not in Southern, National, nothing else.
You left it all. Mm-hmm. Man, hold on, Reverend. You got to help your boy, because you said something earlier when I walked in here, because I was dealing with, he on the text thread what I was dealing with and calling folk and just getting distracted. And I said, man, you know, some of these organizations get on my nerve. You said, I ain't in no organization.
I'm not.
Reverend. None. No, not National Baptist.
I'm not in National Baptist of America, National Baptist USA, Progressive National Baptist, Full Gospel Baptist, Southern Baptist, American Baptist. We don't even use the word Baptist in our church name anymore.
Reverend.
We're just the Bethel Church.
So you ain't no moderator or nothing in no way?
No who?
So you don't get in none of those things. You just do your church.
That's
and
it.
then help here and there.
That's it.
Man, you helping me, man, because sometimes I be like, dude, you want to have a meeting about the same thing.
I'm not meeting with anybody. I don't go to meetings, I call meetings. That's just the truth. I don't go to meetings. This is my
personality right here, right? You know what I'm saying? He came here to deliver me. Because I just, dude, look. I know they going to bring the smoke. Dude, every time we do relief to help people, I always go and I feel like how we gonna do it, because I already got to feel, you know, do we send the money? Do we send the truck? What we do? And I deal with it. But every time people want me to be in charge, they say I'm in charge, but they always want to give me their opinion, which is cool. I listen to you, but you always causing me stress, and I ain't getting paid for this.
See,
help me, Reverend.
I have great fellowship with the Baptist brethren. Now, you know, I have that.
I'm listening.
I have great fellowship with them. But I'm not beholden to any system that they might be part of. So if I choose to give money to something, it's because I chose to. But because I'm not in your organization, if I give my money, you also gonna get my mouth. Because I'm not in your organization, but you got my money.
Right. Reverend.
If I call a meeting, you come into that meeting understanding, I don't care what you're the moderator of, you're not the moderator here.
Reverend!
So you come as a participant. And I respect that you're a moderator.
Right.
I respect that. I'll never negate that. I'll respect who you are in that context. And if you come representing that to the meeting, fine, but that's not your meeting. It pays to just be who you are with your church. That way you can help whoever, wherever, whenever you want, and not have to worry about anything else.
Man, help me, Reverend, because see, this is where I'm at, right? I do these organizations, In Touch, do the basketball thing. You know, people fund it, they come. But I think a lot of times people latch on to stuff, and then they start thinking it's their vision. But I get money from anybody, you understand? So it's like,
sure.
Sometimes people will try to water down certain things. Like, oh, you got to have more competition. Because, you know, this team beating this team too bad. They shouldn't be here. Look, I don't care about competition. I don't have them playing basketball for competition. I had them playing basketball to bring them before the police, so when the police play them, they see them as humans, and they are able to see black people in a positive light, and the black kids are able to see the police in a positive light, and they are be able to understand how to talk to a police officer even when that police officer is disrespectful. Because at the end of the day, who gonna get shot?
Right.
More than likely,
right,
is gonna be the superstar. Right. Who's 6'6" and used to being catered to, and then some little white man coming here talking junk to him. He gonna be like, who you talking to? That's who's gonna get shot. The scrub not gonna get shot because he don't get catered to anyway, so he gonna already be a kind of subservient. Not saying, but that they can't get shot because a lot of us get shot anyway.
Right.
But that's the reason is to bring them before them, and so people don't understand the vision, and they so worried about a competition, but that ain't what I'm worried about. I'm worried about you shoot Negroes.
Right. Right.
And so when you begin to let people come in so much and come under the umbrella because they helping you financially, even though you can do it yourself. Yeah, anyway, you help me. I'm just going to be quiet. You help me, man. You help me. Because you saw that text, right? The folks get on my nerves. They ain't talking about the basketball, something else with the relief, because everybody got these big ideas after they pull you in. Because they pulled you in because really they ain't pull you in to help you. They pulled you in because they need you to bring some notoriety
See, here's
to them.
The reality.
Help me, Reverend.
If I'm not a part of your group, then you can't have expectation of me. And if you can't have expectation of me, when I say no, you can't be let down.
Right.
Because you can't have an expectation of me if I'm not a part of your group. Likewise, because I'm not in your group, I'm not going to get upset if you don't help, because I don't have an expectation of you.
Reverend.
So, no, I'm not in anything.
Dang.
Literally.
Man.
I'm not in anything.
This is a different episode. See, this is a bring the smoke for your boy. Now, it might be somebody else out there. God has called you to be yourself, and you keep trying to be a part of these organizations. You know what I thought about, though? I thought about with Paul, and I said this before, how Paul struggled. Paul said, I struggled every time I try to do what I'm supposed to do, something rises up in me and I do what I'm not supposed to do. But I don't think Paul was just talking about sin. I think Paul was talking about the Baptist tradition. Not the Baptist tradition, I think Paul was talking about the Jewish tradition. He was called to talk to the Gentiles, but he still had Jewish customs, and you had people like Peter always trying to pull him in to do other things. Me, as a Baptist preacher, I always saw McKissick, the deacons with him 100%, and I always saw Reverend Hackney deacon with him 100%, but they had been there 20-something years.
Right.
So all the deacons by then, they had weeded out the ones who didn't want to be with them, but all I saw was they were with them 100%. So I'm doing this capital campaign. Every time I use the deacons, it didn't work. Now I got good deacons now. All y'all cool, so I ain't bringing the smoke on you, but it may be bringing the smoke on one of your friends. So, so anyway, every time I try to do the capital campaign, it'll fail. And so then the next time I was doing the deacon, God said, "Don't use the deacons." I kept trying to force it. Don't use the deacons. But I'm so used to using the deacons because that's how Pastor McKissick used the deacons.
Right.
I saw Reverend Hackney use the deacons. Why I can't use the deacons? Don't use the deacons. So then we brought in another company and we set up these teams. We set up 12 different teams, leaders. So somebody was over there, somebody was over there. Now I did end up choosing 2 deacons and 2 trustees, but the other 8 were just lay people. Did not one trustee, when I did this capital campaign setup, did not one trustee choose another trustee or deacon. And not one deacon chose another deacon or trustee.
Yeah.
And I pulled him in, I said, why you, one by one, man, why you didn't choose another deacon? They ain't with you, Pastor. Why you didn't choose a trustee? They ain't with you, Pastor. And the thing about it was, God had already told me not to use them, right? So then I can't say the name, one of my people from Green.
I thought this was Bring the Smoke.
I ain't want to say dude. Well,
I'm going home. Don't you say, I'll be gone. Don't you say no name.
He got me. He called me out. He's like, I was late. It's cool. I got it. I got to take it. I don't want to put it out there. But since he said it, you know, Jamal tried to do it the same way. Well, it was a deacon. He'll know who he is. From Green Forest that came and he kept wanting to pick deacon. I said, I don't want to use a deacon. I already chose my deacon. No, you need to use it. I said, well, look, I can't use you because you want to use who you want to use. I'm trying to use you to help me with this campaign, but you keep trying to choose people who ain't with me. You don't understand they with me, but I know they not. So anyway, long story short, everything went well, and now we in another building. You know, I wouldn't have called him to the other building. I know he would have came. I would have called him. You know what I'm saying? When y'all were trying to get Jamal, I was like, no, we gonna wait. You know what I'm saying? I ain't calling no Jamal. I ain't calling Dewey. I ain't calling none of these Negroes while we over here in this little square box. I ain't doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't gonna come back. Yeah, you would have came. I don't want a whole bunch of places they ain't been back to.
You ain't never lied.
You know what I'm saying? So anyways, what I'm saying is, be yourself. He helped liberate me right now. And so many times we try to get into that mode of that tradition, that system. I used 2 deacons and 2 trustees, even though I had 20-something deacons.
Right.
And 15 trustees. But I only used 2 of each. Because at the end of the day, I had to break that tradition and that system, even though the tradition rose up in me for me to operate the same way. How can you put new wine in old wineskins?
Here
Help
it
me,
is.
Reverend.
What's a God idea for somebody else may only be a good idea for you.
Ooh, because everybody on different levels. Help me, Reverend.
So what may have been a God idea for McCaleb may be only a good idea in Newport News.
Reverend.
And a good idea will never succeed when God wants you to have a God idea.
Help me, Reverend.
So you have to know your context and culture. Take things from where you are from. Take things that you learn. But you don't ever want to make the mistake of taking the keys from somebody else, because it might unlock a door you don't want to walk through. So it was a God idea for him. That don't mean it's a God idea over here. And that's where a lot of young pastors, they get impressionable and they see something working somewhere and they want to go right back home and try it, and it doesn't work. That's because that was a God idea over here. And I think that's where, I'm approaching 60 now. I know I don't look it, but I probably do look it. But I'll be 60 in a year.
Yeah.
And I think where my generation has failed is we have all these leadership conferences and we teach for what we're doing in our church. I got 12,000 members.
Yeah.
I can't just teach you what, I've got to help you understand culture, context, how to implement something in a culture and in a context, that may be different than mine. I think that's where we have failed. We've tried, to massage our own egos by bringing folk into our churches. Look what we got. And we don't really give them the nuts and bolts to go back into their context and create a God idea. They come see our God idea and go back and try to do a God idea that was a Bethel God idea, but ain't a God idea everywhere.
Right.
And that's where we've got to get better.
Gotcha.
That's where we got to get better.
Man, look here. I'm gonna have to let my dude eat since I was late. Call myself out one more time. Look here.
Oh, you ain't stopped me. I've been eating the whole time.
Yeah. We over here. Bring the smoke. Anyway, man, it's been awesome, man. Can you just leave us with a last word? I don't care what you talk about, man. Just leave us with a last word, man, in this Bring the Smoke.
You always bring the smoke when you live your authentic self. Because whenever you are your authentic self, you always rub somebody the wrong way. Because your excellence will always highlight somebody else's laziness. Be yourself. Be authentic to who God has created you to be. And understand that you were created with greatness, and the God we serve doesn't create anything small. And remember, you don't need anybody's permission to be great. So go out and be great.
Ain't nothing to say. It's a wrap. Bring the smoke, baby. Man, appreciate you. Oh my God,
Appreciate you,
I
man.
ain't know what to do, man. Man, appreciate you, man. Hey everybody, how you doing? This book is a book I believe everyone should buy. Not just because I wrote it, but because this book was birthed out of pain. And you learn so much during those painful moments. This is called Leadership Growth, the Power and the Pain. You can't have the power unless you've been through the pain. Bishop Morton wrote the foreword. It's been endorsed as well by our former governor, Terry McAuliffe, and by our Newport News Sheriff Gabriel Morgan. I promise you this book will bless you. Please get it, not just for me, but to bless you. Go to willardmaxwell.org or click on the links below, and I promise you this book will bless you. If you don't just buy it for yourself, buy it for someone else. It's a short read, but it's a powerful read. I've been getting testimonies all across the country, and I promise you it will bless your life.